Today, I want to talk to you about 3 grammar mistakes that English learners often make. What's up, everyone? My name is Wes. This is Interactive English, which is all about helping you practice and improve your English skills. Today, we're going to work on improving your grammar skills. I'm going to talk to you about some different grammar that English learners commonly confuse and simple mistakes are made. So I'm going to teach you the grammar. I'm going to tell you how you can correct these mistakes. And then we're going to practice a little bit because that's the best way to improve your skills. Practice, practice, and practice some more. So the first grammar mistake that you might be making is this right here. I want you to tell me, which sentence do you think is correct? The doctor recommends that she go to bed early, or the doctor recommends that she goes to bed early. Which one do you think is correct? Because there is only one answer. I hope you chose this sentence right here. The doctor recommends she go to bed early. Now, you may look at this and think, wait a second, what's going on? Subject, verb, she goes. But this is an example of the subjunctive mood that expresses a suggestion. Another way to think about it, which I think might be a little easier, is that there is a hidden modal verb in there. And we could rework this sentence, and I could tell you this. The doctor thinks that she should go to bed early. So you see that modal verb, should, and we follow that with the base verb, go. Now, there are some verbs out there that basically contain the same meaning, should. For example, recommend. When you recommend something, you're basically telling someone what you think they should do. So you don't need to use should. It's almost like it's hidden within the meaning of the verb recommend. So you would say the doctor recommends that she go to bed early. We use the base verb go. Now, mistakes are commonly made when that noun clause is in the present simple and the subject is he, she, or it, because naturally learners want to conjugate that verb using that subject, he, she, or it, and they would conjugate it incorrectly. When we're talking about the subjunctive mood, you're going to use the base verb. Keep in mind, the subjunctive mood covers a range from wishes to commands to suggestions to conditions. And there are some verbs that tend to attract the subjunctive mood, and those are the following. So these are verbs in which you may end up using the subjunctive mood. So let's practice this right now. I am going to give you a sentence, and I want you to transform that sentence so that it has the same meaning, but you are going to use one of these verbs with the subjunctive mood. I'll tell you the sentence and then give you a few seconds before I give you the answer. Are you ready? So the first sentence that I have for you is this. She thinks that he must leave at once. I want you to change this sentence and use the verb demand. She thinks that he must leave at once. Remember how I told you that hidden modal. That modal is in the meaning of the verb. So if we're going to transform this and change this sentence around, you would say, she demands that he leave at once. He leave. The next sentence I have for you is, I believe the game should get rescheduled. I believe the game should get rescheduled. I want you to transform this sentence and use the verb insist. Okay? So if we're going to take that verb, insist, and change this sentence around, you would say, I insist the game get rescheduled. I insist the game get rescheduled, subjunctive mood. I hope that was easy for you and that now it makes a little more sense. The next grammar mistake that learners often make is just subject-verb agreement when they are saying negative statements in the present simple and they're using the contraction with do and not. So let's unpack this. What I'm talking about is when people are speaking. That's key, because when people are having a conversation, they just want to say things quickly. They want to say things naturally. And when this happens, subject-verb agreement can become a little confusing. So when you want to say a negative statement, if the verb is not to be, then you're going to use the helping verb do. And you would need to conjugate that helping verb based on the subject. If we're talking about the present simple, we can conjugate it I don't, he, she, it doesn't, you don't, we don't, they don't. Simple enough. Now, the problem that I think a lot of learners have is that when they're talking, when they're having a conversation, people make a mistake with that doesn't. I hear this quite often. When the subject is he, she, it, They want to say the negative and they say he don't, she don't. If I hear somebody make this mistake, I understand what they're saying, but it's just a matter of fluency. I know that we're having a conversation. Perhaps it's moving a little fast. People just want to speak quickly. They want to speak naturally, and they may conjugate this incorrectly. So when we're talking about subject verb, I think overwhelmingly this is where people have issues when they're stating that negative in the present simple. And the best way to correct this is just to get more exposure to the language, more reading, more listening, more practice. And the more you do those three things, then it's just going to come to you naturally. You're not going to have to stop and think about it. You will just be conjugating these correctly. He doesn't, she doesn't, it doesn't. So now let's do a quick practice. It's always good to practice this. I am going to tell you a sentence, a positive sentence, and I just want you to change it and make it negative. So I'll give you a moment to say the sentence, and I want you to say the sentence out loud because we're talking about spoken English. Are you ready? The first sentence is, he eats pizza every day. Change that, make it negative, and you would say, he doesn't eat pizza every day. The next one is, people want to email with us. Make that sentence negative. And when you do that, that sentence becomes, people don't want to email with us. People don't. They don't. I didn't say that all of these would use doesn't, so I hope that you said don't. People don't want to email with us. But I really hope that you do want to email with us. And if you do, check out the link in the description. Join our email list. Link is down below. Finally, I have, if someone likes it, please tell me. If someone likes it, please tell me. How do we make that negative? I hope you said, if someone doesn't like it, please tell me. If someone doesn't like it, please tell me. All right, so again, this is just good practice, subject, verb, practice, practice, practice. That is the way to improve so that the next time you're having a conversation, you will just say this naturally and correctly. The final mistake that learners often make is just confusing ed and ing adjectives. And the reason why I think this can be confusing for many learners is because the only difference between the two adjectives are just those letters at the end. Bored, boring, interested, interesting, excited, exciting. So besides those letters, there is another key difference between these adjectives, and that is their meaning and usage. For example, ed adjectives describe a person's feeling, and it is a temporary feeling. ing adjectives describe a situation, a thing, or a person's characteristics. And it's that last part, a person's characteristics. That's where I think many learners confuse these adjectives. And they would say something like, I am boring. And they use the ing, and they're actually describing their characteristics. I am boring, when they really want to talk about the way they feel, and they should say, I am bored. Now, this is important because I am bored and I am boring have very different meanings. If you're bored, it's just how you feel about some situation. You don't like it, it's a temporary feeling, you're bored. If you say, I am boring, well, then that's describing your character. You're saying that you are a boring person, and if that's the case, then not many people are probably going to want to hang out with you and spend time with you because they may also think you're boring. So keep that in mind when we're talking about ed adjectives and you're talking about your feeling, and ing adjectives when you're talking about someone's characteristics. Okay, so let's practice this. I'm going to give you a situation and then ask you a couple of different questions. I want you to answer those questions using the adjective that I give you. I'm just going to give you one adjective, and you're going to answer the question with either an ed adjective or ing. Let's do one as an example so you know what I'm talking about. The situation that I'll give you is, I like to play soccer. All right, very simple. Now, here is the adjective that I want you to use, and I'll ask you a couple of questions, and just give me an answer using either ed or ing. So I would ask you, how do you feel? And you'd say, I'm excited to play soccer. And then I could ask you, what do you think about soccer? I think soccer is exciting. Now you know what I want you to do. Here is the next situation, and I will give you a moment to answer each question. All right. The next situation is, she couldn't solve the problem. All right. Now my question would be, how's the problem? The problem is frustrating. How's she feeling? She feels frustrated. I hope you were able to answer those correctly with the ed and ing adjective. Here's the next situation, all right? English grammar drives me crazy. My question is, how do you feel about English grammar? English grammar is confusing. How do you feel? I feel confused. Now, I know that some of this grammar may be confusing, but I hope that after watching this lesson, you are less confused. And if you are less confused and not frustrated anymore, but actually excited because you learned something new, then I recommend that everyone hit that like button. And I'm just trying to get in a quick little review of everything we learned today. That's all for right now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.